Hello, and welcome to Barbatus Catholic Podcast, a show where two Mexican dads talk about faith, life, and culture. We are your hosts,
Gustavo
and Walter, and today we are going to chat with Chilo Salinas about praise and worship. But first, a word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by DiscountCatholicStore.com. They are your new go-to online shopping source for all traditional Catholic products. They have Catholic statues for indoor and outdoor use, statues from 8 inches to 24, 36, 48, and 72 inches tall. DiscountCatholicStore.com is your source for traditional Catholic statues. You can get a 15% discount on your first order with free shipping using the discount code Barbatus, that is BARBATUS. Visit DiscountCatholicStore.com today and use discount code Barbatus at checkout to get 15% off on your first order. And now, to the show. Chilo Salinas, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, man. Thank you for having me. I've literally been listening to you guys since your first episode. So
that's awesome.
It's an honor to be here.
So it's you and 9 other people.
Hey, I know. We need to all meet up then. And
yeah, we're gonna
get us in the room together.
We're going to have a convention. It's going to be 13 of us.
Barbatus Con.
Yeah.
So lame.
I heard it as you were driving up.
Yeah,
I was it, right?
No, you were not listening.
I was listening because I hadn't finished the Father Dan Klein.
Don Klein?
Yeah. I haven't finished it yet, so I was listening to it as I was pulling up. Yeah,
I
gotta finish it before.
That guy sounds vaguely familiar as you were driving up.
Yeah.
Never meet your heroes, guys. Never meet your heroes. Chilo was part of the launch team for about a year and change ago. That was making all the hype for Barbatus, but today we get like another Mexican on the table. For those that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my name is Basilio Salinas, which is a rare name.
The fourth.
I am the fourth. Yeah, it's generational. My son, I have 3 kids, 2 daughters and 1 boy. My son, his name is Basilio Emmanuel Salinas. I had 1 through 4 is just Basilio Salinas.
Okay.
So I don't know if he's a true 5th, but I call him a 5th. I like to call him the 5th.
Still counts.
Exactly.
Counts.
So his name is Basilio Salinas. I have a 4-year-old. Her name's Cecilia, and then a little baby. She's about a year and a couple months, like 4 months. Noemi Amaris, and Cecilia Luz. And father of 3, and husband of 1.
Yeah,
Stephanie.
Nice.
Stephanie Salinas. And so I've been married to her for 5 years. We have 3 kids together. I live in the West Valley of our diocese, and Mexican, born and raised. I was born and raised Mexican. My daddy's from Nayarit in Tepic, and my mom in Chihuahua, Juárez. Arriba Juárez.
No.
So
nice. Did you grow up with this is like the Mexican test that we tell everybody. It's like like the Jeff Foxworthy. You might be a redneck if
Yeah, you might be a Mexican.
You might be a Mexican. What's question number 1? Do you have a rosary in the rearview mirror of your car?
Me, I do not personally know.
But anyone in your family?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Well, half a point.
It's partial.
Yeah, I'll take a half.
Partial credit.
Yeah.
Do you keep pots and pans inside of the oven?
Oh yeah.
Tell you. See, people are gonna think that we made it up, but now more and more people are confirming that theory.
That's
there's 100% stuff in there.
So my mom double dipped because she had like one of those built-in ovens, and then she had the stove with the oven. Both. I don't know why we needed so many pots and pans, but both were filled with pots and pans.
Right.
So what happened when you needed to use both ovens?
You take everything all the crap out. Yeah, like Thanksgiving was pretty much the only day where both ovens were like running.
Once a year, yeah.
Once a year. And we would empty them out and have a ceremony, a dance and everything. So,
nice.
Yeah. Put the molcajete upside down.
Right, yeah.
With the cuchillo.
Yeah. All the pots.
Oh, that's when you don't want it to rain.
But we were cooking turkey, so it was like the weirdest, like Yeah, mezcolanza culture there.
Yeah.
So, but you said before we started rolling that you were born in California, but then you moved here like when you were little.
Yeah. So I was born in California. But then when I was about 2 years old, my family, we moved to Arizona. So I was raised here. So I grew up in Arizona. But I choose to, my whole family, all of them rooted for like the Dodgers and, the Raiders and
You basically
the Lakers.
You and Ivan,
and all
man.
that. Yeah. So,
So are you happy the Rams won the Super Bowl?
Believe it or not, because I actually was raised here.
This coming out March 1st. We don't.
I know. We have no idea.
We don't know.
Yeah, no. But believe it or not,
hopefully the Rams won.
Well, I'm thinking that they did. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah. No, I actually am a Cardinals fan.
Oh, there you go.
Because I feel like since I was raised here, I should choose a team, and I went with the Cardinals.
Sweet.
And so I'm kind of bummed they're out, obviously.
Man.
But like, if the Rams win, then I'd rather have lost to the champion, to be honest.
Yeah, dude.
Then hopefully they do.
Yeah.
So
nice. Well, that's amazing. We could keep talking about soccer and all those things, but let's get into the topic that we wanted to talk to you about, and that is praise and worship. For those that don't know, well, I guess not. Nobody that is listening knows how I met you, but I think we met like in 2012-ish, something like that. I think I was volunteering for a retreat at St. Joan of Arc, and I think Ivan was there as well for some reason. He was working there or serving there, and you guys were like the band for the retreat, 3 more band. So that's like 10 years ago, and you've been married 5 years.
Yeah.
So that was like way before.
Yeah.
Both you and I got married, and it was like a completely different thing.
Yeah.
So, do you come from like a musical family?
Yeah. So my dad, he's one of 12.
Okay.
And so it's eight boys and 4 girls. And every single one of his, like all 8 of them, all of the boys, the males, they all like sing and play guitar. And so, majority of them live in Mexico. So whenever I'd see them, it was for a special occasion. They'd come in for a wedding or something over here in the States. And just sitting there watching them play and singing, the songs from Mexico that we all kind of grew up on, and like those amazing songs that are just timeless. And I grew up with that. And, I remember I was always kind of inclined to instruments. I consider myself more of a musician than like a vocalist, to be honest. I prefer to like play an instrument than sing.
Okay.
I would sit, and my dad he did a lot of, like, I guess you could say, praise and worship or alabanza.
Yeah.
Growing up for the Spanish side of the church.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the Spanish version of the charismatic movement, right?
Right. Yeah. My dad was big in that. And I remember he would have like cassettes laying, or whatever those are now,
Mm-hmm.
he had like cassettes laying around, and I would pop them into like a cassette player. And I would just try to mimic like the drums, like what I would hear the drums do. And so they got me a drum set, and I started a drum for my dad when I was like maybe like 7 or 8 years old.
Sweet.
Yeah. And, I'm one of 4, and I have 2 sisters and a brother, and we all sing. And so my dad just kind of did like a band of us when we were kids. And that's actually how I knew Ivan. I met Ivan when I was drumming for my dad. So I've known Ivan for a really long time.
Oh, because Ivan was with that alabanza crew, right?
Yeah,
with Carlos was also involved in it.
Yeah, Carlos was there, and Dulce, some other woman named Dulce. I think she was the leader of it at the time. But
gotcha.
We came out of St. Joan of Arc, and we did like alabanza, like Noche de Alabanza.
Yeah.
Praise and worship night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like multiple bands, and so like, the St. Joan of Arc band would play, and then another parish would play, and then we would play. And so
specifically Spanish, right?
Yeah. Only. It wasn't until I was like maybe 15 or 16 where I actually started to do more English stuff.
Got it.
And by myself. I remember my father was asked to do some like event in English, and he wasn't too comfortable singing in English, and so he basically was like, you're gonna do this event and just lead and sing it. And so, he taught me how to play guitar when I was like 15 years old, and I started singing publicly, and yeah, and then that kind of happened.
Dang, that's like a really cool way of.
That's kind of how I got introduced into, like, I mean, we've always gone to church, and my mom always took us to church, but music wise, I started playing guitar when I was around 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah.
And I was in the, it's a rondalla in school, which is the musical version of, I don't know, like Glee Club here or something.
Rondalla is more like a musical club, no?
Yeah, it's like a musical club.
Well, there's people that play and there's people that, sing.
Yeah.
Specifically.
And it's more like Mexican traditional songs. It's not like we were playing Beatles songs or whatever. But
right.
They dress weird.
Not necessarily. At least not
yours
at our school. It wasn't like a mariachi or anything. It was just like our school uniform.
Okay. Because there are some rondallas that are like.
Oh, really?
They go all out. They have like medieval times kind of.
Really?
Oh no! I think our school was underfunded then. Right. You had to bring your own instrument and you had to bring your own clothes.
I'll have to show you pictures of rondallas, and we're gonna put it in the show notes because it's like. Or they also call it tunas, la tuna.
Yeah, I've not heard of that.
See,
interesting.
Northeast Mexican, Pacific, Western Mexican.
Yeah,
that's differences.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, after I started learning to play the guitar, I went and started playing in the choir at the church.
Yeah,
and same thing. It's like that alabanza type of songs, all the songs that we as Mexicans grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
Si tuvieras fe, como un
all of those.
Mostaz.
And then I went into the youth group and I started playing like ambientación. We called it ambientación when you're starting like kind of like warming up, for the talks.
Oh, okay.
And we had like a 15-minute session of like really like joyful and happy songs.
Right.
And then at the end we had like the more contemplative and deep for reflection songs.
Yeah.
And then that was on Saturday, and on Sundays we would play at mass with, I don't know, 3 guitars, and I don't remember if we had drums. It's maybe for like special occasions, stuff like that. But yeah, it's a similar upbringing, the fact that we were both introduced more into the faith because of music and prayer and worship.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I first started, like, I was always used to, like, the guy with the keyboard playing like the parts of the mass, going to mass in Mexico, and the guitars were not unusual. But then there was this parish, like right before I moved to the States, that had like very well done contemporary music for the mass, but it had like bongos and like clave and guitar. It was still pretty good. Like the first Friday adoration, they had alabanza.
Oh, okay.
So it's definitely something that I was not that I wasn't exposed to as like the charismatic movement. It was just what it was,
Sure.
That was the music that was at masses.
Right.
I didn't know anything else.
Yeah.
But that's so 15 years old. You're 15 years old, and then you start doing like events in English, meaning that you do like alabanza, but in English, so praise and worship.
Yeah. At my youth group mainly.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that parish?
St. John Vianney.
That's
Goodyear.
Right.
Yeah.
That's we know a lot of good people from over there.
Yeah.
Shout out to St. John Vianney. So how did Three More Band get its start?
It's funny because my youth minister at the time, we used to do praise and worship at youth group out of like a boombox. Used to put like a CD in and play the contemporary music, and we would. That's how we do it. And I remember I talked to him one day, and I told him that I could play like guitar. We could do this live versus a boombox or a speaker or something like that. So he obviously took me up on it, and he gave me a couple songs he asked me to learn, and I learned them. And me really not really knowing what I was doing, I did it more for like the performance side of it versus praying, and like actually leading in prayer. We just started to kind of get in the habit, and little by little, like, because I came from a musical family, I just started to rely on my siblings to come and help me at youth group. So like my little brother plays bass, and so I asked him, his name's Jeremiah. We still do everything together. But I asked him to come play bass so that we could have more full sound at youth group. And then my little sister, Elena, she sings, and I asked her to come be a female singer, and like, it was 3 of us. And then, little by little, like my best friend, his name was Renee. He was also on the core team. And so we started to add little pieces here of like, here was another guitarist with Renee. And then someone from the youth group said they could play piano. So we were like, why not come play piano? Awesome. And then, and this is when Ruben came into play. Yeah, it was funny because he actually, he had messaged me on Facebook. I've known Ruben my entire life. Him and Jeremiah are 21 days apart. So
no way.
We grew up together. He's my brother, And so he actually ended up messaging me on Facebook, and he saw that we had this little conjunto or whatever.
Yeah, like a little band.
Youth group, And he was like, hey, if you ever need a drummer, like I drum, remember? Like, and I was like, you know what we do? That's actually like the missing piece. And we had like a retreat coming up, and our youth minister was like, it'd be really cool if we had a full band for this retreat. And so I remember I asked Ruben, well, after he reached out, I told him to come to a practice. And he came, and it was like that week of the retreat, and he came to that practice. And then I asked his dad, I call him my tío Ruben. I asked him if he could come with us on the weekend, and he gave us the okay. And just like that, and ironically enough, that retreat that we went up was called the 3 More retreat. And that phrase 3 More actually came from a conversation that St. John Vianney himself had with the devil, because he was a holy priest. Patron saint of priests and
reader of souls,
right? And so he was tempted a lot by the devil, and the devil in a conversation that said that like he approached St. John Vianney and told him like if there were 3 more of you, that his kingdom would be destroyed. Like that's how holy of a man he was. If there were just 3 more of him on earth as a priest, like that his kingdom.
Is crazy,
right? So that was like the pull for the retreat with that name. Like, can he say the same about us, or we need to strive for that kind of holiness? And because it was our first retreat together, and because that quote 3 More came from St. John Vianney, who was our home parish, like we just took the name.
That's great.
We just started as 3 More.
And you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Right. The origin story.
Right, yeah.
You probably told the story before.
Yeah, definitely not on a podcast though. So yeah, for sure.
We can claim that.
Yeah, there you go.
That's amazing, dude. I think that by the time, what year was this retreat that you were talking about?
This retreat was in 2012.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you were just like...
We were like babies. Yeah.
You sounded like you've been doing it for years.
Oh,
dude.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we were definitely babies. This was 2012. The band, the band complete with Ruben didn't happen until 2012.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And is 3 More band still a band?
I think that's definitely the question that's up in the air right now. It's kind of hard to, move forward without Ruben. He was obviously he was the heart of the band, not just like literally by being the drummer and keeping a beat, but like also just in the emotional sense. I think he was probably one of the most selfless persons I've ever met in my life. And, his loss really affected all of us as a whole. I mean, we're obviously still like a great group of friends, but we have not, since his passing, done anything under 3 More. And that's not to say that, we won't in the future. It's just, I don't know if it's been the right time yet,
Yeah.
Totally.
So, yeah.
That's honestly, that's one of the things that from the outside looking in personally,
yeah,
I feel like that community that you guys have at St. John Vianney, just that whole support group, man, it's so beautiful to see how you love each other.
Yeah.
It's amazing, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
And that the loss of Ruben and all the support of the people that were like showing up and showing love to everybody, man, that just like, if that doesn't warm your heart.
Right.
Oh, you become family.
100%.
Basically,
I think when you're part of a band, I mean, right there's your first family,
Right.
you know. But the fact that you guys grew up all together and the faith kind of like brought you all even closer
Yeah.
by the way of music.
Right.
I mean, those bonds are never go away.
Yeah.
You know, so that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely a family, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what I think that's why the Lord also blessed us in so many ways. Like, you know, we definitely had a lot of hardships as a ministry. I mean, which ministry doesn't, you know, doesn't go through things, but the Lord just always kept us together. So yeah, we're definitely very, very blessed.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
That's amazing. So, it's kind of like a good segue for, you know, have you read the St. John Paul II's letter to artists?
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't read all of it, but I have read some of it. Yeah. Yeah.
So I just have a quote that I'm going to read real quick. It's from a section that says, "The artistic vocation in the service of beauty." It says, "Those who perceive in themselves this kind of divine spark, which is the artistic vocation as poet, writer, sculptor, architect, musician, actor, and so on, feel at the same time the obligation not to waste this talent, but to develop it in order to put it at the service of their neighbor and of humanity as a whole."
Mm.
That part was just like, okay.
Right.
And we just did an episode of how like evangelizing through beauty, and, you know,
Right.
one of the 7 arts would be music as well. So as an artist, how do you use your craft to like point people towards God?
Yeah, I mean, I think like obviously the church is very like about our senses, you know, like it's very like visually, you know, like obviously like the episode that I was listening to and what St. Bernadette's did with their parish and how beautiful that church is and the response it's getting, not just here, but like nationwide. Like, you know, obviously like we as people like to receive, and we feel like God gives through our senses. And, you know, so in that same sense, like I really feel like there's a lot of goodness and graces that come through good music. And, you know, one thing that I think you have to realize is, you know, am I as an artist, or am I as a musician, right? Like, am I answering a call, or is this just like a hobby? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a difference.
There is, right? So like, am I called to this ministry, or do I just like doing this? Like, you know, I mean, in a similar sense, like, you know, is this just something that it's a hobby for me? And I think when you realize, and when God like helps you understand that this is what you're called to do, or this is a gift that He gave you, like specifically for music, like, then I almost feel like it's my responsibility to develop it as much as I can to help my community, my parish, to help them bring good music and good, like, you know, messages through music, not just in English, but in Spanish, to the people to receive God, you know? And yeah, so I think it's definitely like a muscle. You gotta exercise it. Yeah, exercise it. Exactly. You know, and you know, it's funny because like there's athletes that talk about, you know, like what you see is the product of what you don't see me do.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and I think that's the key. That's exactly what it is. It's like, as an artist, it's like what you guys see is just, you know, the product of what you didn't, all the work that we don't see this person put into it. And so, yeah, I mean, I think definitely that putting into your gift and your calling is just as important as serving through it, in my opinion.
So how do you balance that? Because as a musician, you know, you tend to get self-aggrandizing, you know, or like, this is something that feels good, that I can do, that I have a talent. Because you said, you know, sometimes you can distinguish if you're doing it for the Lord or if you're doing it for yourself. So how do you strike that balance of saying, this is all by the grace of God that I have this talent and I have this gift? Does it ever catch you like that and say, oh, I'm letting myself get too much in the middle of this and I'm not letting God do His work?
Oh yeah, I think, and especially in like the beginning stages of me like actually doing it, you know, people are like, "Oh, you sound good, Chilo," or, you know, like, "That was great," you know, like, oh, we're doing music again at youth group and this, when I was in my teens and we were just getting started with it, like it was definitely self-serving. And I think that was like the part of it that I started to realize that as I was getting more into it and as I was doing it more, I think not really getting more into it, because as I was just doing it more, because my youth minister, he was like, we got to do this almost every week, man, and and it became like a culture that we really built up there back then of just praise and worship. And so as I did it more, I think it started to become more of a realization, like, whoa, this doesn't feel like me walking away being like with my chest up high.
Yeah.
Didn't feel right anymore, and then that's when you start to question, honestly, like I was doing this pre-conversion for myself. Like I wasn't fully into the faith. I was just offering a service to my youth group. And so I think when I had my conversion and I had that moment with the Lord, everything changed, man. Everything was like, whoa, I'm really doing this for the wrong reason. Like I started to learn that it's, and then obviously like I was looking up to people like Matt Maher or other people who were doing like there's Ike and Dolo, like other people that were like doing worship. And I was like listening to them and I was like watching them. And certain times when I had opportunities to talk with them at different events, I would try to get as much info out of them as I could. And everything they would always tell me is, like, is this something that you're like praying? Is it self-serving, or do you actually pray through this? Like, is this a prayer? And so like, little by little, you start to really question, like, and then God just reveals the answer. He's like, I can't do this for myself. This isn't for me anymore. I know that this is something that God gave me to serve with. And it's humbling. Yeah. It's real humbling.
Totally.
Well, we're happy that you have that gift, dude, because, and I guess this plays into the next question that I want to ask you. Why is it important for us to pray through music?
Yeah. I think to me personally, it goes back to like what I said about the senses for me. I know a lot of people love listening to music and good music, but I believe it was Saint, I don't know, I always get this confused. I think it's Saint Augustine who said that like singing is like praying twice.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Something like that. And I think, and we hear about singing all the time in scripture, like, lift up a song of praise or enter his courts with praise.
On the Psalms, right?
And the songs. And, there's even like in scripture, there's like pieces in scripture where if someone would enter into a battle or something like that, they put the musicians up front. And like they would go into this with songs and things like that. And so like I think it's super important for us to like, and I'm not saying it needs to be contemporary, music. It can be chanting. It can be,
choir,
alabanza for
it
other.
Can be anything.
Choir, yeah, I'm not saying it has to be this like, drum driven electric guitar playing
right
music. For some people it is, and so I think it's obviously very important. They're calling us to it. I mean, just look at the story of the walls of Jericho, right? The people walked around Jericho singing and trumpets playing, and then the walls fell. And so I really think that there's power in singing. There's power in praise. There's power when we lift our voice as a community. Walls fall, and things change. Things happen.
Oh yeah, I firmly believe that music changes people.
Yeah,
that was part of your
beauty.
Conversion, kind of. Didn't Carolina make you like a playlist that you were like, "Oh, this is beautiful"?
Was it?
Did I remember
that
from Exodus 90?
Oh yeah. I had a hard time with Exodus 90 when I couldn't listen to music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I knew like Matt Maher and I knew this and that. And so we homeschool our kids, and part of their curriculum of like a classical education, there's a lot of beauty involved: literature, art, appreciation, and music. So my wife is just this treasure trove of knowledge, right? That she's obviously acquired. She was in youth ministry as well. So that's something that we kind of like have in common. So your story will resonate like completely with her because that's kind of what we grew up with.
Yeah.
Coros and alabanza and
yeah.
like ambientación. So it's like very, very, very relatable to us. Yeah. And yeah, when I was like struggling to find like ways of getting beauty through music, and she made me a playlist for Exodus 90 because I couldn't listen to rock or anything like that. And it's a mixture of like you said, chants and like Gregorian chants and just like Beethoven and Mozart and like Johann Sebastian Bach.
Oh wow,
stuff like
all
that.
the Requiem masses, dude.
It was just incredible, and it was you find yourself opening up your preconceived notions of what you think you like, and I think everything, you evolve as a person, and I evolved in my faith. I like things now that I didn't.
Yeah.
As I grow older, same with food, right? I mean, I didn't used to like red wine. I used to drink like sparkly, fruity wine when I was like a teenager or whatever. No, I didn't drink as a teenager a lot.
Sure.
Right, yeah.
I didn't drink a lot.
Yeah.
But I think that there's definitely something that captures you in where you are. Not every type of music is for everybody, that's what I love about our faith. It's just so broad in the way that you can reach people.
Yes.
For some people, Gregorian chant that's their go-to.
Right.
For some other people, alabanza, I was never really into the renovación type of worship, but I could definitely appreciate the way that people responded to it. They felt the spirit in that sense.
Yes.
Yeah. But I personally never responded to that type of worship. You know what I mean?
But can we agree that it could be related to cultural aspects?
Oh, totally. Because I grew up in obviously Mexico, but I grew up in a border town. So I was always considered more like, I was always drawn more to the American culture than the Mexican.
Sure.
Like my wife loves like Cantinflas and Tintan and like Pedro Infante movies, and I could not stand them. I could not look at my movies had to have color, dude, and explosions. I grew up with like Family Matters and with like Full House. I grew up with like Bill Cosby as a comedian and stuff like that, and not as like the typical Mexican upbringing.
Sure.
But, I mean, Monterrey, same thing. It's not a border town, but it's very Americanized.
Yeah, it's a lot. The closer you are to the border, the more Americanized it's become, right? But the fact that I was able to appreciate both, as an adult now, I can totally see how my culture molded me, even though I wasn't completely open to it at the beginning. But I always knew where I came from in terms of like that cultural aspect. Yeah. And a lot has to do with prayer and worship, because that was my upbringing too. I grew up with that part of it, so it's very, very relatable, your story from where I'm sitting.
Yeah. Good, man. That makes me happy.
Right?
Yeah.
So now the question that I have is, have you listened to Colección Cristiana by Juan Luis Guerra y sus 440?
No.
You have not?
No, I have not. No.
Dude, that is like merengue, alabanza.
On the way home? Like, should I listen to it?
Yeah.
After the podcast is done, though.
Right.
Yeah. I have to play you a song. I thought for sure that I'm so happy that I'm like introducing you to...
Oh, yeah. Man.
You know who Juan Luis Guerra is?
Yeah.
He's Christian. He's non-denominational, but
okay.
He has like, I think in every album he would like slip in a Christian song.
Really?
Dude, I'm so happy that I
get to inform you of something.
I get to,
no. But like we touched on Exodus 90. Gustavo and I did together like maybe a couple of years in a row. But we would listen to like Rivers and Robots, Isla Vista Worship, Madmar, the Lower Lights, which they're technically LDS, but you know, but they do like traditional hymns with like a folk flair.
Sure.
Do you have like a favorite praise and worship band?
Right now I really enjoy this music ministry. They're called Maverick City Music.
Okay.
And I really like them. I like the way that they approach worship. I do a lot of their songs currently, like whenever I'm gonna lead. I do a lot of their songs just because I like how personal their songs are and how relatable their songs are. But also I just like they do worship in a room, you know, like this, you know, like they're all, everyone's on the same level. No, there's no stage. You know, people are close up and personal with whoever's on the piano. There's no like barriers, you know, and I really enjoy that and the intimacy that they have in their worship.
Are they the ones that do The Refiner?
Yes.
Oh, that song, dude.
Amazing, right?
It's really good.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard The Refiner by Maverick City Music,
yeah.
Go pause the podcast, go listen to that, come back.
Right.
I remember when I listened to For King and Country, the concert that they had here in Phoenix.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. That was for me like another introduction to that more contemporary side of things.
Sure.
When it comes to worship music. And their Little Drummer Boy rendition, it's got to be one of my favorites.
Oh, okay.
You know, my wife used to get mad at me. It's like, it's not Advent. Shouldn't be listening to that song. It's like, I know, but the drums are like nuts. It's crazy good.
I have not listened to that.
Oh, it's so good. And they did like a whole, the concert they did here in Phoenix, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. It was a Christmas concert. So all the music is Christmas based, and it's just like you should definitely take a listen.
Oh, I will.
It's worth your time.
I had forgotten about them. The only song that I remember for them is like the one that had like the whole "Love is kind, love is patient" in the middle. Pretty good band. Thanks for
they're
reminding me.
super good band.
In the interest of time, we still need to talk about the Well Ministry.
Yes.
Which is how long ago did the Well Ministry start?
The Well Ministry started about a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah. December of 2020.
Oh, damn.
Was our first one, and we've been going ever since. We just had our last one in February this month. Yeah, just this past Friday.
This past Friday that we're recording right now.
Yeah, it's been an amazing blessing to me.
Can you break that down a little bit for people who don't know or are familiar with it?
Yeah, so the Well Ministry is a young adult ministry that my wife and I started back in 2020, and essentially we just it was right in the smack middle of the pandemic, obviously, you know, and we really just kind of felt like there was a need for us to gather in community, whoever would feel comfortable doing it, obviously. And, you know, there was some stuff that were being offered to us, but moreover in like the Central Phoenix / East Valley area.
Put this closer to you if you don't mind.
Yeah. And, you know. Yeah,
sorry about that.
No, you're fine. And we kind of just realized that like we would invite our friends to come with us when my wife and I would go to these things. And a lot of them were just kind of like, you know, that's kind of too bit of a drive for us. And so we started to realize that there's this need in the West Valley or something closer for our friends in our community to be fed through something in the pandemic.
Okay.
And so the Well was born in that kind of, you know, see a need, fill a need type of thing. And we really just kind of wanted to have an area or a place where we can get together with our friends. So our first one was in December of 2020 at St. John Vianney in the West Valley and at our home parish. And, you know, we just kind of sent it out to our friends and we made like a small little Instagram page for it just so that we can put more information on it. And yeah, we had about, you know, we have an auditorium over there at St. John Vianney and there's a second level to it. It's just a small balcony and we met up there and it was like close to a little over 50 people that came that night, which was more than we had expected because it was more than how many friends we have.
Yeah.
You know,
Son muy amigueros.
Yeah, you know. And our pastor, the pastor of St. John Vianney, he showed up and he was like, you know, you guys, this is great, but you guys are kind of over capacity for COVID in this area, you know, so maybe like move it to another space when you guys want to do it again. So we're like, sure. And so then the next night, so we do it on the first Friday of every month. The Well happens on the first Friday of every month. So that was on the first Friday of December. Then in January, it actually landed on January 1st, 2021 was the first Friday of January. And the first Friday of the year of 2021. And so we had moved into our grand hall space, where we normally held our youth group nights.
Mm-hmm.
And we invited our friend Ryan Ayala. He was on the he was on the podcast. Not too
Friend
long
of the
ago.
podcast.
Yeah. He came out to do our keynote, like the talk that night. And it was well received, and I think we promoted it more, and we had a little over 100 show up that night. And
wow.
So Stephanie and I were like, people want to come. Like, people see that they want to get together and do this. And Ryan, so initially the plan was to do it in the West Valley only, because we felt like there were other things offered.
Yeah.
And it's good to go to other ministries
totally
and receive from other people and other things. So Ryan, though, he invited us out to his parish that he works at for February. He said, I would like to have you guys come out and St. Bernard of Clairvaux.
Yeah.
Or St. Bernard, however they pronounce it.
Both are acceptable.
Right, yeah. So he had us come out in February, and there was another positive response to that, and a whole new group of audience that they were in the East Valley that showed up, right? I mean, we had people who traveled with us in the West. And it was at night when people were asking us, like, are you guys going to keep doing this in the East?
Oh, wow.
And like, Stephanie and I, we had to really sit down and like discern through it. And the Lord really put it in our heart to offer it in other parishes aside from our home parish, the St. John Vianney. And so for the whole year of 2021, this past year, we would do 2 in the West Valley back to back, St. John Vianney and St. John Vianney month, and then we'd do 2 away and offer it in another area of the valley, whether it's central or east.
So a home and an away game, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. We'd go on a, and it was really cool because we celebrated our 1-year anniversary in December of 2021. It's 2 months ago, and we put out a shirt just to kind of commemorate it, and it was cool because we listed on the back of the shirt was like all the parishes that we attended for that year, and like the date, and so it looked like a T-shirt, like a tour band,
like a concert.
Tour. Yeah, and it was really cool. We promoted it. We even coined it the Never Thirst Tour because we're called the Well. It's based off John 4:14.
Nice.
And his Jesus talking to the
women of the well.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was really it's been a real blessing. And so shout out to my wife Stephanie and my brother Jeremiah. They really kind of helped put it all together. We're really excited for it, and there's been a good response, and we'll do it until God says no more.
Yeah. Why don't you plug the Instagram page for people to follow you?
Yeah. @_the Well Ministry is our Instagram page.
And there's a link for the T-shirt. You can buy it.
Sure. I mean, I don't know if we have any more left. I think we have like a couple left, but I think there's a link on there. Stephanie, she usually runs the page, so I don't really see it that much, but yeah, there's a little link on there.
But on top of the praise and worship, you guys have Jesus.
Yeah, so we bring sacraments to the parishes, and I think that's something that we really love. We've been blessed with a bunch of priests who are willing to make the drive to wherever it's at to hold confessions. So it's praise and worship, then there's a talk, and then we follow with the Holy Hour.
Nice.
The Holy Hour
with the Blessed Sacrament.
With the Blessed Sacrament, and
beautiful,
exposed, and we offer the sacrament of confession during the Holy Hour. And so it's amazing to just, like people have reached out to us and given us all these stories about how they're getting back into the faith because now they're having like a monthly confession because of this,
Nice.
and
that's awesome, dude.
And like little stories that kind of the fruit that you start to kind of like that comes out, you start to kind of see. There was a couple who reached out about how they made this their like date night as a married couple, and how it's been like, it's like brought them back as a couple to God, and now they look forward to the first Friday because it's like their date night, and and so just little things that the Lord kind of just affirms through other people to like continue. So we're excited, and our next one is going to be March 4th at St. Bernard's.
So this Friday that you're listening this on a Tuesday. Hopefully you listen it on time so you can go to St. Bernard of Clairvaux.
Correct.
For the Well Ministry, that's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, it's awesome. 7:30, and we go till about 9:30ish, and we always have like coffee and refreshments afterwards. So there's good community time
and fellowship,
and St. Bernard of Clairvaux was really kind enough to offer a meatless dinner after this one because it's the first Friday of Lent. Always as well. So there also be if you show up, you'll be fed.
Nice fried fish.
I don't know. They haven't said yet. I haven't.
Just keep it as a surprise.
Yeah, we'll keep. Yeah,
we'll just put Ryan Ayala on the spot.
Yeah, Ryan, if you're listening, yeah.
What are you gonna serve, dude?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Taquitos de frijoles
or fried fish. Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there, Ryan.
Yeah, no.
I mean, regardless, you're gonna get fed if you go. So.
Yeah, regardless.
Dude, my daughter turns 13 that day.
Really?
Yeah, I'll have an official teenager.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, pray for Gustavo.
Yeah, everyone pray for him at the well and everything. So
on Instagram they are @ the Well Ministry. Yes. Check them out. That's where they can find out like which parish is next.
Correct.
And all that kind of stuff.
Updates, things like that. Yeah.
Excellent. And last call. Do you have anything?
We're good. I really appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a pleasure. I've heard about you a lot through this podcast, and I just can't thank you enough for your ministry and your I'm missing the word.
Witness.
Your witness. Thank you so much. Your witness, and it's amazing how the Lord is working through you guys, and God bless you, man. And hopefully we can have you on again to get more updates later on. So
we need to go to the well. Ivan has been inviting us for the longest time, but finding a sitter for 4 is kind of
it's tricky.
Yeah, no, thank you. Though.
And the pandemic kind of like messed everything up, but no,
right.
God bless you guys for doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I receive all of that, man. Thank you. Honestly. And like I said, I've been a fan since day one, man. I would love to come back, and I listen to y'all every week, every Tuesday.
We did not pay him to say that. I just want to be clear.
And here's how you know we didn't pay him, because we don't have any money.
we gave him a sticker, and he's happy as a clam.
Yeah.
Sticker and a drink.
Yeah,
sticker and a drink. There you go.
That's all I need.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Barbatus Catholic Podcast, a show where 2 Mexican dads talk about faith, life, and culture. If you like the podcast or got something out of this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Subscribe, like, comment, rate, and review if you haven't. And if you don't like the podcast, well, just keep it to yourself and let others make their own mistakes. We have consolidated all of our links in one handy URL for you. Go to direct.me/Barbatus to check out the show notes, social media, how to support the podcast if the Spirit moves you, and more. And bless us, Lance Casey.
Pray for us.
Until the next time.